My name is Victoria Dunch, and I am a research coordinator on the community engagement team within the research realm, conservation research realm of the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. And y'all maybe saw that we just went through kind of a name change there. So that's exciting, right? We've evolved into an alliance and trying to do a better job of communicating our conservation work to the world. And so my primary duties involve working with middle school and high school students like you all, but also working with teachers during the summer. So I was actually looking through our records, and it looks like we have actually had one teacher from your school come and attend our teacher training. So it's called Teacher Workshops in Conservation Science. So it's a professional development opportunity for middle school and high school science teachers to come spend 3 days at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park and our research facilities, learning about the different conservation science work that we do, and then having like lessons and units that they can bring back to school to infuse conservation science into their classrooms, wherever that may be, because it's a program that's open to teachers anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. So we have folks from everywhere. So yeah, that's mainly what I do, is work with students your age, work with teachers in the summer. And we also run a master's program, the Advanced Inquiry Program, which is a partnership with Miami University in Ohio. And from time to time, I help to facilitate some of those courses as well with graduate students pursuing their master's degree. Big question, right? Because I mean, the environment's the world, and there's so many things that people can do in their individual lives. So I'm going to try to break this up and actually focus on two different points, right? There's individual level solutions that our society is is obsessed with, and it's something that we have all learned throughout our whole lives to kind of think about, like, well, what can I do? What can I do specifically? And so let me talk to that point. There's so many things, right? We've heard about, saving water, right? Taking shorter showers, right? Making sure we're not wasting electricity and energy. So powering down things that you don't need, right? Planting native plants is especially important here in Southern California. We have so many invasive species that harm the ecosystem, and people don't tend to think about what it is that you have planted in your own garden, on your own patio, around school, the stores that you frequent. Like, what are the trees? What are the shrubs? What are the plants that are around Target and the mall and things like that, right? We don't think about those things, but making sure as much as possible that those species are native to the area, and at the very least not invasive, because those seeds then spread out to the surrounding ecosystem and cause a tremendous amount of damage. Keeping your cats indoors is actually, I know, yeah, I was actually very shocked when I started working here, and I would interview a lot of our researchers and ask this exact same question, right? What can people do to help like your project? And I cannot tell you the number of times I got told, keep your cats inside. And the reason is because cats are predators. Cats are indiscriminate killers. They don't know the difference between a threatened songbird and, the common house finch. And cats will come back with all sorts of prey items, with lizards, with birds, all different kinds of mice and rodents too. And there's that impact that they have on the ecosystem. I mean, birds are responsible for killing a lot of birds in this country every single year. And we don't think about that, right? But also, when you go and walk your dog, you pick up after your dog. There's nobody to be picking up after the cats. And we all know disease is transmitted through fecal matter, right? And so you have all these cats out there that could potentially be spreading diseases to other wildlife that may encounter what they leave behind, and nobody's cleaning up. So yeah, it's a kind of a surprising one that you don't typically hear, but the importance of keeping our cats inside. Also, nobody likes if Mr. Fluffy gets eaten by a coyote, then people are upset. So just for so many reasons, it's a good idea to keep your cats indoors. Reducing how much plastic we use, right? Like, say no to plastic straws and that kind of a thing. Just how many thousands and millions and millions of straws get thrown into the landfill that are going to be there for thousands of years for a few moments convenience, right? When we could be using paper straws or metal straws or no straw at all. I mean, yeah, I feel like I could keep rambling. I'll mention one more that's maybe unique that maybe a lot of folks haven't heard of, but there's a really cool app called Cheyenne Mountain Zoo Palm Oil app. And if anybody's familiar, who watches this later as well, with the palm oil issue. So palm oil is a type of oil that is found in about 50% of household products. So your lotions, your shampoo, but tons of food products as well. So maybe different types of processed foods like cakes or Pop-Tarts or, who knows, that you might buy in the grocery store. About 50% of these things that you have in your house have palm oil in them. It's a very efficient type of oil to use. But there's a lot of clear cutting of rainforests that happens, especially in Southeast Asia, to grow these palm oil plantations. So think, orangutans, tigers, Sumatran rhinos. Those species are heavily impacted by the palm oil industry. And so downloading this free app on your phone, Cheyenne Mountain Zoo Palm Oil app, you can look at a product that has palm oil in it and scan the barcode of it before you purchase it. And it will tell you if that product uses sustainable or unsustainable palm oil. And so you can make that decision of like, oh, this has unsustainable palm oil. This, different brand doesn't, and you can make that decision as a consumer of which company you want to support. So that's a pretty cool one, maybe slightly more novel one that maybe not a lot of folks have heard of. So that's a lot of individual actions. I do want to just quickly speak though, to the importance of community level solutions, right? When we think about things like climate change, right? And like, what can I do about climate change? It's super important for us to start having this mindset more of less about what you can do and like what is your individual responsibility, and more about what we can be doing collectively as a community, because these types of massive problems like biodiversity loss and climate change require large systemic changes. And it's not to say that individual actions don't matter, right? Those things are super important. However, in order to solve climate change, it takes the village, right? It takes the whole community to come together, and you make much bigger impact that way than just what happens individually in the privacy of your own home. So, thinking about what can my school do? What can my church do? What can my town do? And just whatever it is that you do, that you're bringing other people along for that ride, because that's how we make really, larger impacts that are to the scale of the problem. We are fortunate to live in the state of California that does pay a lot of attention to these things, right? And there are all different kinds of programs dedicated to conservation. But, the state of things in California, there's a few different things we can look at, right? We've got drought that is affected by climate change. This increased number of fires, also a result of climate change. And I mentioned invasive species before. So most of the state of California is what we call a biodiversity hotspot. There are only about 20-30 some biodiversity hotspots on planet Earth. And a biodiversity hotspot is an area of the planet that has high levels of biodiversity, specifically of endemic species. So those are species that don't occur anywhere else on the planet. So coyotes, yeah, the East Coast has coyotes too, right? But unique species of plants and animals that are found right here in California, and you will not find them anywhere else. That's an endemic species. So we have high levels of endemic species. We also have high levels of human threat. And that's what makes a biodiversity hotspot. High levels of those endemic species coupled with a significant amount of human threat. So we are so fortunate to live in such a biodiverse area of planet Earth. So our particular biodiversity hotspot is called the California Floristic Province. And, we like to toot our own horn down here in San Diego County, because San Diego County, at least, is the most biologically diverse county of the entire country. Only the state of Hawaii has more biodiversity than San Diego County. But certainly those bragging rights can go up and down the state of California. We just have so much biodiversity. So we are so fortunate to live in such an amazing part of planet Earth. We all think California is a great state in the country, but really putting it into perspective of how unique it is on the planet. And as a result, we've got this great climate, and so many different things thrive here, a lot of different invasive species. So that's why I was kind of talking about the plants, right? And the importance of making sure that the plants we have, that we cultivate are native, and supporting that. So let's see, I've talked about, and habitat loss. That is, I'd say, the biggest threats that species in California face are as a result of climate change, as a result of invasive species, and habitat loss. Because California is so amazing and special, everyone wants to live here. I don't blame them. But habitat loss is an issue. And then you have to couple it as well with the housing crisis that we have in this state, right? And so, not to say there's no easy answer, but we do need to find a way of providing housing for all the people that want to live here, but also making sure that that's not coming at the cost of species going extinct in our planet, in our state, that can't be found anywhere else on the planet, right? So I'd kind of highlight those three main things: climate change, invasive species, habitat loss. These are probably some of the biggest threats to our state. I mean, my perspective on conservation as a whole has changed so much since I started working for the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance in 2015. Yeah, in 2015. So going on six years here. And yeah, I've learned a tremendous amount. When I think about climate change specifically, I've had some really amazing opportunities to dive deep into, how important climate change communication is, that there's really a science behind effective communication, especially when you're talking about environmental issues. And that's what I do, right? Is do my best to communicate these issues in a hopeful way, an accurate way to people, to motivate them to take action. So with climate change in particular, one of the things that I've just come to really learn is the importance of being hopeful, the importance of just being hopeful in our communications. And honestly, that goes across all kinds of conservation issues, because we know the issues are really large, but by just spreading doom and gloom, which is I think those of us that are very passionate about these issues, we know a lot about them and we understand the scale of the problem, and we want other people to understand that as well. And so as a result, we maybe tend to share too much or just focus too much on the doom and gloom, because we think that will get people to motivate them to action. And a lot of the time, actually, all that does is make people feel like, well, it's just like that horrible things are inevitable. And then that leads to apathy. And that's the last thing that you want, right? So it's actually really important to, be real about the problems that are happening, but let's talk about all the amazing work that is already going on all over the world to address these problems, and the fact that the solutions to these problems already exist. They already exist, and there are many groups and organizations and governments around the world that are already working to take action. Just like here in California, we have governments that are very aware of these issues, that care about them and are taking action. And we just need to kind of go on for the ride and bring others with us so that we can tackle these problems. So I'd say making sure that we're talking about climate hope is very important. It's an opportunity to an extra opportunity to spread the message of the importance of conservation and the importance of protecting biodiversity on planet Earth. And I guess, I'm fortunate that every day is Earth Day for me. I live and breathe this stuff, so I get to learn about this stuff all day long. I get to share it with other people all day long, and so I'm happy that Earth Day exists, that we have this opportunity for the whole nation to kind of hone in on this and give it some attention. So it's a great opportunity for us all to just kind of hone in on this important topic at least once a year. But really that, every day is Earth Day, and it needs to be right now given the scale of the issues that we have. But the solutions are there and we can address them.